Leeds come away from this one wondering how it slipped.
So it finishes Manchester City 3, Leeds 2. Let's take a look at what that means for Manchester City's position in the table. They sit second, 4 points adrift of Arsenal, who are in action against Chelsea on Sunday. For more on this, let's welcome in Don Hutchison, shall we? It's weird, Don. I can go either way with this. You can say, oh, great spirit from Manchester City, getting that last-minute goal and getting the win. But it's really difficult to be positive about a side who are 2-0 up and cruising and then just seem to completely and utterly capitulate.
Correct, Dan. And I was trying to think, would Arsenal allow that? This Arsenal team, they wouldn't. I think if Arsenal were 2-0 up at half-time, you'd see them go and win the game 3-4 without any drama. It was strange because before the game, Haaland's on 99 goals, trying to set the record for 100. Phil Foden scores inside of a minute. Then I'm thinking, right, this is a Guardiola side in the past that would have hit Leeds for 5 or 6. They got the second on about 25 minutes, and you're thinking, right, second half, they're going to come out and they're going to take the game and they're going to walk all over Leeds. As Shaka said before, credit Daniel Farke a little bit. You know, he changed his system from a back 4 to a back 3. Got his wing backs up the pitch. They pressed and they rattled City. Then all of a sudden at 2-2, City were in a world of trouble and they got the win from a brilliant strike from Phil Foden. But it left me coming away from the game thinking, that's not a City side that I think can chase down Arsenal, win the league. Not on that performance, not on the performance that they gave against Newcastle. But that performance today was more worrying. I think the City fans come away from the game thinking, glad they got the 3 points. Pep will be delighted, but inside he'll be furious at the performance.
That's the thing, isn't it? This isn't an anomaly.
No.
This isn't Manchester City cruising and all of a sudden they've dropped the ball. You could say maybe as Arsenal did against Sunderland. This was poor. It was poor against Bayer Leverkusen, poor against Newcastle. And it's difficult to put up an argument as to why this team is going to fight all the way to the end with Arsenal. I'm
not sure that this team has that in them. And I say this, and again, give Farke credit, give Leeds credit for their comeback and at least making a game of this. It should have been 4-5 at half-time. The first half was really that easy for Manchester City. And just before the break, City missed another chance. Again, could have quite easily been 5 in the first half. And shots of Reinders and a couple of the other City players kind of laughing about it. And while you can't be too critical of players being relaxed on the field, you don't do that and then throw away a 2-goal lead. From the time you throw away that 2-goal lead, now all of a sudden this kind of relaxed atmosphere that you certainly closed out the first half with comes back to haunt you. And yeah, changes were made and all of a sudden Leeds were given this lifeline. Again, City overplaying right to the edge of their own 6-yard box, allows Calvert-Lewin to score, and all of a sudden there's a game on their hands. And not only that, despite how dominant City were in the first half, Leeds get the goal, and there's this uncertainty around the entire stadium that the players start to feel as well. And truth be told, I thought Leeds would go on to win it. They get the second, and don't ask me what Guardiola was thinking with that challenge. And at that point, it really could have gone either way. Foden has been in great form, is a difference maker, but only just. And we're talking a team that's threatening to win the Premier League, and another that at best is hoping to stay in it.
Don, I'm being told, you said it was 50-50 last week between Arsenal and City, is that correct?
Yes, I've moved well away from that, by the way.
When did you say that?
I was about 2 weeks ago when I thought Arsenal might have a little wobble after the Sunderland game and City won their game. I had to call it 2 weeks ago, but listen, it's way away from 50-50 now.
Yeah. What's wrong with them, Don? The players are good enough, aren't they?
Yes.
I tell you what, I think what we're looking at the name on the front of the house in terms of Guardiola, legendary manager. We're looking at Man City and all have won trebles and all, but we're not looking at the same team. You know, when Kyle Walker departed in the summer, I was stunned they didn't buy a right back. They bought the likes of Reinders and bought Cherky, fantastic footballers. Aït-Nouri's another one, but he's a wing back. Doesn't strike me as a Man City wing backy sort of player. They needed a left back. So Nick O'Reilly, who started his life as a midfield player, has gone in at left back and done really well. Mateus Nunes as a midfield player who's gone in at right back. He was guilty for the second goal when he made a half-hearted challenge. He gave the ball away in the first place, and then once they got themselves in a decent position, that's what happens when a midfield player playing at the back thinking he can take a touch to his 18-yard box. I mean, they've got fixtures that they could go and win. They've got Fulham next. They've got a few 3 or 4 Premier League games that on paper they should win, but they've got Real Madrid away in the Champions League. So you just look at this City side and you just think they're vulnerable. They're like Liverpool at the minute, where you score against them, they crack a little bit, they get anxious, they get nervy, and they're sort of lunging for the finish line. That's never been the Guardiola way. Normally when his team is 2-0 up, they strangle a life out you, they keep the ball, they go and score 3, 4 and 5, they look great. Yeah, now you're just looking at a team where you think, apart from Haaland, what are they?
I think you're saying they're not that. Last year they were the similar team, weren't they? And they recruited so strangely, as you say, in the summer, and now you're kind of bearing the fruits of that, in that you look so vulnerable at the back, which of course then leads me to your question. What's your percentage now, Don?
My percentage now is 60 for Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
30 for City and 10 for Chelsea. I'm going to give them a little sniff.
Okay, so you still think City are bigger contenders than Chelsea?
Yeah, but I honestly think Arsenal will do what Liverpool last year, and they'll go and romp it by between 10 and 15 points.
Fulham then with the victory, beating Spurs by 2-1. Don, where do we even start on Spurs? What can we say new that hasn't been said already?
3 clean sheets in 41. So I guess
like
it's
Shaka's
not
record
all
back in
on
the day.
Thomas. Well, I was thinking of Shaka actually when Vicario was getting booed, and I was thinking, I'm sure Shaka's endured that at the chicken run at West Ham once or twice.
Wow.
That was harsh on the goalkeeper. That was very harsh. I mean, I come away from the game thinking, right, how many Spurs players could I give credit for today? And I was thinking 3. Van der Ven, without a doubt, was easily their man of the match. Colomani up front, and maybe Pedro Porro for his delivery. Apart from that, honestly, I couldn't lean on anyone. I couldn't lean on the shape. I couldn't lean on any industry, any tempo in the first 45 minutes. Fulham should have been 3 or 4-0 up, and Harry Wilson's goal was... I was like, wow, that's one of the best goals I've ever seen. But to Shaka's point, why is no defenders in Danso or another get on the line when Vicario makes a mistake? And it took them to half-time for them to have a good go, and they probably got a rocket off Thomas Frank at half-time. Then second half, they were so much better. But 2-0 down at half-time, you ain't got a chance of coming back and getting something from the game, I'm afraid, in the Premier League.
What's Thomas Frank doing wrong, Don?
It's hard, Dan, because I honestly think he's a very, very good manager, and I think he needs time. The team that I look at, I think they're young. I think, take away from today, when I've seen there were Colomani and Tell and Xavi Simons in the same team, and the likes of Gray, Bergvall, they're very young. At the same time, if he wants to go experience in Palhinha or Bentancur, then there's not a lot of legs in that midfield, so I think he needs signings. I think he needs 1 or 2 in that midfield to provide a little bit of bite. But you're looking at a side, I mean, the home form's wretched. I mean, you know, you can lean on some away teams in the Premier League. Newcastle, for one, before today's win, and their away form's been awful. But normally, a team in the Premier League has really good home records. Spurs is awful.
The thing for me, right, and I'm a little bit torn as to how much blame Thomas Frank has to shoulder here. When you look at Spurs' lineup, when you look at who they have to come off the bench, great names, but everybody's bang average. Whether Don's being very kind to Kolo Muani today, I didn't see. I thought Van der Ven was good. Outside of that, I'm not sure. You look at the starting 11. How many of outside of Van der Ven, how many of the others get into any other Premier League, top 6 Premier League team? I'm not sure that there's a single one.
Yeah, but I get that point, Shaq. But you're against Fulham today.
Yeah.
You're not. You know, most of these players, in theory, could play for Fulham, could start that team.
Well, should be able to.
So the quality of players are out there. They're just clearly not being coached.
Yeah, you're against Fulham, and again in Thomas Frank's defence, first goal is a deflection. The second goal, don't ask me.
Shaq, come on.
I'm offering. This is my defence of Thomas Frank, right? First goal is a deflection. Second goal, I have no idea what Vicario is doing. And from there, you're looking at your front men, Kolo Muani, Richarlison. You bring Tell off the bench. You bring Xavi Simons off the bench. Bang average. They give you absolutely nothing.
Obviously, Thomas Frank were involved in during the summer.
Well, first of all, the Tell signing was an odd one because he was signed before Frank was announced as manager. So I don't know who gave that the green light, in all honesty. Xavi Simons, listen.
There's a reason that no one else wanted him.
Absolutely, there's a reason no one else wanted him. Kudus is an exciting, wide player, but he scored 4 goals for West Ham last year. Kudus is not a goal scorer. So you look at Spurs' attack, including Richarlison, who I've never been convinced about, even dating back to his Everton days, and you just wonder, where is that consistent goal scorer going to come from? Whether it's Solanke, who's always out injured, even when he's fit, he's not sparked this team in any kind of manner. So I'm a little bit sympathetic, because I think this is a Spurs team that is made up of passengers.
Are you soft like Shaka, Don?
No, I get where he's coming from, Dan, and you're right to ask the question, but I think we're all sort of scratching our heads thinking, like, what is the problem? He might just need a real refresh of that squad. And as Shaka said, there might be some players that are not good enough to wear that Tottenham shirt. So maybe Thomas Frank's got to be a bit harsher on his players. It'll take him a little bit of time. He's only been through the door 5 minutes. He'll need a window to say, right, I've seen them now for a couple of months. I'm going to make changes either in Jan. I might tweak 1 or 2 things in Jan. But come the summer, because he still has to be in charge in the summer, it's not all on his watch. So in the summer, he's probably going to have to make some brave decisions and say to the board and the hierarchy, right, you need to get rid of about 5 or 6 injuries. They're they've been shot to bits of injuries, but that can be an excuse when you put out the team that they put out today in the last couple of weeks, where they're losing games for fun. But I genuinely think when I look at this Spurs squad, like Shaka, it needs about 5 or 6 gone and 4 or 5, 6 top players to come in.
Very much so, cruising as it finishes then. Newcastle 4, Everton 1. A good result for your boyhood team, Don? Great
result. First away win of the season. They look good. The back four, I think Eddie Howe realised that's his preferred and he's number 1 back four. Kieran Tripper's going to be injured for a couple of months, but I think Tino Livramento now, I think he's probably hammered that right back slot his own. Lewis Hall's back from injury, so they've got to manage him just a little bit just to make sure he doesn't get injured again. And Dan Burn and Malik Chow, by the way, what a signer from AC Milan for about 35 million quid. An absolute bargain. And that's the Anthony Elanga I've been waiting to see in a Newcastle shirt for a while, Dan. I loved him at Forest. I thought in the summer when we signed him, I thought going to be amazing. Probably just lacked a little bit of confidence. Never quite got going with his consistency, but he was brilliant today. And that's what Eddie Howe needed. I mean, I know they lost the goal, so didn't get the clean sheet, but so much better defensively. From an Everton point of view, wow, they were all over the place. They were wide open. That was very unlike a David Moyes side, especially after they defended with 10 men against Man United when they were brilliant and hardly conceded any chances on goal at all, barring 1 or 2. Defensively today, for the first half an hour, Everton all over the place.
Should have slapped a teammate early on, bish, bash, bosh, no problem. Anything you want to add, Shaq?
I thought Newcastle were really good on the road, kind of given their struggles on the road. I'm like Don here. I was really surprised at Everton and how they set up. And while Newcastle got a good start to the game, Everton then dominated without really testing Ramsdale in all honesty. And then just after the second goal, they just seemed to down tools for a bit. And from there on in, you could only see Newcastle extending a lead, which is exactly what they did. Surprising from them.